most thought-provoking hour of the day, dropping jewels and nuggets for the next 60 minutes. For us, by us. You're listening to the Hold Your Point podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, peace to the planet. We hope we're finding you in good spirits right now, wherever we finding you at. This is the Hold Your Point podcast, and we are the Hold Your Point podcast crew. And you know, on our platform, we talk about Black culture and experience through a Christian millennial lens. And you know, we got the usual suspects in the house, man. We got Levi Strauss, Michael Joseph, DJ DTH. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, man?
What's going on, y'all?
Man, how everybody feeling?
Feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
No, man, I can't call it. Just good to see you guys like always, man. You know.
Yeah,
ready to get into it.
Feel blessed. You know, another week done. But yeah, I'm ready to chop it up with y'all. Let's go.
Yeah, Mike, let's run it.
Yeah. So, as y'all know, man, another, blessed. I'm glad to be here with y'all, man. So, but as y'all know, another segment. Have you heard? In light with what we're gonna be discussing today, which is depression, man. I said, you know what? I ran across this article, or actually, I ran across this video. I thought it was pretty interesting, man. A lot of people, they turn into different drugs to cope with some of the depression that they have, right? And have y'all heard the most addicting drug? It's not cocaine, it's not PCP or weed, it's not any of that stuff, man.
What is it?
And
right,
you know what?
Love.
You know what? We got a little video for y'all, man. We're gonna have y'all check it out first, and then we're gonna run into it.
What are you getting?
Beetle Nut. It's like the fourth one today.
All across southern Asia and the Pacific Islands, you'll see people chewing a big ball of something with red stains all over their teeth and spitting it on the ground.
You just get a bit of a kick, a rush, a bit of sweat.
It's called Beetle Nut, or as the locals call it.
Why?
I've seen people chew it in Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia, but not even close to the level that I'm seeing here in Papua New Guinea. It's everywhere, and it's extremely addicting.
It's just become this, it's just spread throughout our country.
The locals on this island have a unique way of consuming it, with a mustard stick and a powder made of seashells and lime, and it has spread in recent years like wildfire. Boy is so dang popular that more than half of locals here chew it daily, from children to the elderly. What feeling does boy give you? How does it make you feel?
When I chew boy, I feel comfortable and happy. Boy keeps us active and happy all the time.
Do you do it every day?
Yeah.
How many times a day? How many different seeds?
Maybe 5 or.
It gives.
Wow.
Woo!
You know what? Wow. You know what's so crazy?
Why?
I didn't even realize they said that kids do that too. That's crazy. I didn't even catch that. What's y'all thoughts on that, man? The most addicted drug in the world, Beetle.
Man, what's crazy about it? What's crazy about it? They willing to sacrifice their Colgate, Smile, and hygiene for a quick rush.
Yeah, man. These people looking like they got bloody mouths and bloody teeth all over the place. I don't know. Is it like a question? Is it like a fruit or a nut?
Yeah.
Why are they so addicted to it? Like, what does it do to them? Like, what do they feel? Like, they feel good? They said that's all I heard. Like,
they said it's similar to like a tobacco, the way it hits you, but you also get high on it, man. So,
the thing is for me, it's like, how do people drift so far away from like normalcy to like, you know what I'm saying? You stuffing your mouth with things that stain in your teeth, and you getting like addicted to some kind of venom. Like, it's just so far gone. Like,
I think that's the crazy thing, man. It's just a temporary escape. It's a temporary escape to feel some type of rush, and they want that feeling, and that's when it becomes a drug. That's when it's labeled a drug. When you have that continuous want to feel that rush, you're willing to sacrifice everything.
It's a couple things, because first I heard them call it boy, so they chewing on boy. I'm like, hold on now, I don't know where that term came from. Like, I guess it's a local thing. But the other thing, I always wonder, like, how did they find out that this was going to be something good to chew on? Like, you just see something, the first thing you think about is, let me put this in my mouth.
Yeah,
like,
That's a great question. Who was the first person to think of this? Like, what made you got into your mind and be like, oh, I'm gonna go pick up this random thing and go put it in my mouth and start eating it?
Well,
Like,
people in general are very inquisitive people, man. Because you got to look at it like, who was the first person to eat a mango, eat an apple? You know what I'm saying? Eat an orange. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure many of
Adam
people
and
have
Eve.
suffered. Many of people probably suffer to death eating the
They
wrong
were
thing that you're
Jamaican.
not supposed to eat, man. But I thought it was pretty interesting. Like these people are actually, because it actually says like they're actually developing mouth or oral cancers, right? Because of that they're eating this thing, right? And then even one of the guys that's in the clip, he even saying like it makes him sick to his stomach. But yeah, he's still willing to do it every day, man. So it just lets you know, just like what Fortunato said, bro. It's crazy when you have to go to a place to escape. You know what I'm saying? Going back to what we was talking about last week. You know what I'm saying? Escape that level, man, of depression.
Yeah, what I find even
So
more crazier is the fact that it's an organic fruit that's grown in the ground. Now it's providing jobs for people.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like, how much you gonna sell it for if a field ain't got it? It's supplying them. I'll run up a whole quarter for it. You know what I mean? What you want?
man, I don't know. So all right, man, there you have it. We got another crazy piece in the news with the Beat Nut rage and people being so far gone. Shout out to Drake. But we gonna jump right back into a little bit about what we was going into last week, man, was just depression, negative emotion, and kind of covering some different aspects there as we kind of continue this mini series. And last week, for those keeping up, we got into some good areas, kind of like trying to define depression and talking about believers and their battles and dealings with that. So we want to kind of delve a little bit deeper if we could, with just a few minutes we got. But the first thing I wanted to ask y'all, man, right off the bat is, as a continuation, like, how do you identify when God is in your struggle versus when He's not a part of it?
Oof. Oh, you hit with the gut punch already? We just got started.
fun times over, y'all.
I mean, because
Hit
like
me with
I
that
asked,
question
like,
one more time. Hit me with that question one more time.
yeah, because I asked, like, because it's like, something like we all go through struggle, right? And sometimes it can be self-induced. Well, most of the time it's self-induced, but then other times, like, and we gotta, like, like, okay, so just to ask the question in full without giving my own piece on it, like, how do you identify
Thank you.
when God is in your struggle versus when He's not in your struggle?
Man, that's honestly, it kind of feel the same, like until like he steps in for real, for real. So that's why I'm kind of stuttering a little bit, because like there's plenty of stories, like I love hearing the stories of like people that made it big, entrepreneurs and whatever. Like, it's not all pretty like how they make it look on Instagram. Like, a lot of guys says, like, even I was listening to the Steve Harvey interview again. He literally lost all his millions. You know what I'm saying? And gained it back. Like, but we talked about this before. God is gonna have you struggle a little bit, until He actually steps in for real, for real. So, man, that's a tough question, man. Honestly, I'll probably say He will step in when you are going the right path. When you are going the place where He wants you to be, that's when He'll step in for real, for real. He gonna let you struggle a little bit, but He's really gonna step in when He sees, all right, he gets it. He's going the right place.
Yeah. So here's my take on it. The question is kind of tough to answer for me, and being the person that I am, because I like to think of it like this: that God will never leave me nor forsake me. Right? That's something I've held to since probably for a while now, as I've been following my walk. But so it's hard for me to say that God is not in the struggle, even as DJ was kind of mentioning. Sometimes God is going to give you a little bit of struggle He's going to give you a little bit of strife along your path. But in my head, it's like that doesn't mean he's not there either. Like that in my head, he's still there, even though you have that struggle. Now, to somebody who doesn't know Christ, to the unbeliever, or someone who doesn't, follow him as we might say, do they create problems for themselves? Is that what you're saying? Like, and then like God, well, that's not necessarily going to support them in that. He's not going to like help them with their problem. If they got themselves into a situation, they got themselves into a situation because they were doing a certain action. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if you call out the God and if you ask him, he's going to help you. He's always gonna be there if you ask for his help. But
it is a really good question. Something that I'm thinking about as you kind of mentioned that, Levi, is that he'll never leave us nor forsake us, right? I'm thinking about the children of Israel when they were carried away in captivity to Babylon. And I don't remember exactly how many years right now, but God literally like shut up his ears to their cries. I can't remember exactly the way that the Bible puts it, but like, so like kind of how you said, yeah, he's there because God is everywhere. You know what I mean? But like to Fortunato's point, like I would think of that as he was not part of the struggle in that sense. You know what I mean? Because of course he's there, but he wasn't. His ears were shut up to them, and it was a result of their disobedience that he was at a point where he allowed them to be carried away into captivity. So I'm just thinking, is it possible that you could be? And again, this is his chosen people, right? This is the people of Israel. Of course, they're humans like anyone, so they can mess up. So we're capable of those same things. So I mean, I do think it can look a lot alike, though. I think you can be struggling and following Christ wholeheartedly, and you can also be someone, even still a Christian, but maybe if you've kind of fallen off, I think the struggle can look the same. And I think that's where people can kind of start to question and get a little, maybe waver a bit, because it's like they may feel, yo, I'm doing all the right things. Like, God, I'm seeking you, I'm praying for you, I'm praying to you, and I'm still struggling. I feel like I'm struggling like anybody else. So I think because they can look the same, that can be an issue. So, I mean, I what I would say, though, to answer the question, I know I'm going to wrap up here. I think that if you still feel the pull towards God to keep seeking him still, I think that's a sign that he's with you. Because if you no longer feel that you need to go to him for support, like, I'm just going to figure this out on my own or something like that, then I think that, to me, I would say that's a sign he's not a part of what you're going through.
So let me ask, what's the struggle? What's the struggle exactly? Like, is it you trying to obtain something? Like you trying to be the next best artist in something, or you struggling in life, period?
Just anything in life that's causing you resistance when you're trying to move forward and you can't. Right. So regardless of whatever it is.
In a sense, to kind of how I feel, in my opinion, is like, I feel like God will give you the answers needed. If it's the will of him, he will give you the answers needed, and he will help. He'll create paths. He'll open doors. He'll rearrange, move people around, whatever it needs to be done. If it's his will, then it's gonna happen. But it's a tough question. That's where we sit down, and you have to really have that connection with God to be like, God, what direction do you want me to take? Do you want me to go north, south? You know what I mean? Do you want me to leave my job and go do this, or do you want me to continue to stay here in the struggle of I'm just saying, whatever it may be, this relationship, you gotta really kind of get that one-on-one connection with him to get the answers.
So, I mean, I feel it, and I think like even just kind of considering the question, like we have to be at a point of we have to be aware, right? Aware of what's going on in our lives first and foremost, and be keen on that, because like when we're struggling, there's going to be, especially like if we have a relationship with God, because it rains on the just and the unjust. So when struggle comes our way, like we got to recognize the unique opportunities that present itself within that time period of struggling to let you know that God is still with you. Because like I was even thinking, well, just going back to David's illustration with the children of Israel, like, how they were in the wilderness for so long, and when they didn't have God rain down manna from heaven, and that's more than a unique situation, obviously. But even like considering like Noah, like I think a lot of times we think like with Noah, when from the story of Noah, when the dove went out and came back with the reed or the leaf or whatever, we think instantaneously like, all right, there was land like 10, 20 feet away and they was about to get started. Like we don't know how long it might have been from that point of that dove coming back for him to then find or drift to the place of whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I think like when we're going through it, like God presents us like small little nuggets to say like, I'm still with you, like, don't give up. Like even if it's just a phone call, it might be something on your mind, like it might be a song that come on, like out this morning I was jamming Worthy is the Lamb, like on blast when the kids was going to school. And it's just like, it'd be just like certain little subtleties that God will use as nuggets to kind of just remind you, like, you're not in this by yourself. Now, if you don't have no inclination of anything, and then, I guess going back to David's point, that God, the Creator's ears are closed and you're on your own. So,
And
so what if you going through something for a while and you don't know, like, just to answer your question, I hear what you're saying, but what if it's silence? Like you just continuously praying. How can you be encouraged even though you don't hear no answers?
but yeah, and I mean, I don't want to take it. I think sometimes we look for the big answer instead of like the
Yeah, I
little
was gonna say he
pieces
kind of
that.
he kind of answered that question with just saying like, you got to look for those small, I guess you could say, wins to get you through the day. Like I was even telling Jocelyn, I was like, you know, you don't have to always, just like Fortunato was saying, have a, okay, hey, I got, what I'm saying, A on my test today, whatever. I'm just like, it's the small wins that adds up to be the bigger one. Just like you saying, like even like making up your bed in the morning. Like some people don't like to do that, but that could be a win for some people. Like, what I'm saying, just making up your bed, getting up, praying. You know what I'm saying, doing the things that you know you're supposed to do, going to the gym. You know, hitting those goals that you set aside for yourself. I know a lot of people just do the New Year thing, but man, I had daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. You know what I'm saying? So it's just going after those small, or being in tune, just looking for those small things, right? That's gonna get you over whatever it is that you're going through, right?
Yeah, I
So
think I think it's
I believe that.
being perceptive of what's happening around you, of those little things. Like, because there's an illustration of a short story I've heard. Like, there's a man stranded in the middle of the ocean, and he's asking God to save him, and he sends like a little boat to come by, and he's like, "Hey, you need help?" He's like, "No, don't worry, God's gonna save me." And then he ends up dying, and then you know
yeah,
in this fictional story, he goes to heaven, he meets God, and they say, God, how come you
God,
didn't
why didn't
save
you
me? And
save
he's
me?
like, I mean, I sent you a boat, I sent you, and I
Yeah,
think there's a little more to it, right? But essentially, the guy he didn't recognize the blessing God was sending him because he was looking for it in a different way, perhaps a bigger way. So I think
So in other
there's
words,
that.
it's many blessings in disguise.
Yeah, you gotta be
Yeah,
alert and realize what that is. And the other thing too, James 4 verse 8, right? Draw nigh to God, and He will draw nigh to you. So I think that's the thing too. You have to continually do that. And I think God is not I think. I know God won't leave you hanging if you do that, right? But like it says, if you could draw closer to Him, He will draw closer to you. You will feel His presence. But obviously you have to be consistent, and your heart has to be in the right place for that to occur.
So despite the
so
drought,
like,
continue on.
yeah, for sure, man. Because it's like I was even thinking of it like, let's say, God forbid, like, you wake up one day and whatever reason you look outside and your car is gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just it. You still got a job to go to, like you still got responsibilities. And it's like, you know what I'm saying, now you're in this
still got two
season, but
legs.
it
Yeah,
it 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 could be something as simple as like someone calling you up that morning to say, hey, you know, I was heading your way. I don't know if you wanted to ride today. You know, you get to work, you don't know what's going to happen. And then boom, something else. You know what I'm saying? So it just be like little things just to kind of keep you like honest.
And we're going to keep it real, man. It's, you know, when you're going through it, it's not always easy. You know what I'm saying? Let me go outside in my car and not be there. I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be upset, right? You know, hey, you probably ain't gonna be able to talk to me. I probably won't be able to be able on this podcast right now. But it's just realizing, like I said, all right, well, my car's not there, but thank God I got insurance. You know what I'm saying? Thank God it's insured, or you know what I'm saying? Thank God I have 2 feet. Thank God I got a bike in the garage. You know, worst come to worst, you know what I'm saying? Do it old school with the bike. So it's just being mindful that still blessed.
So, like, practically, I want to ask y'all, how do y'all deal with bad days? Because we talk about all the hypotheticals, but like on some realness, like, how do y'all practically deal with like bad days when it comes?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna chop in here real quick. Um, Definitely on the days that I'm not feeling my best. I try to go into things that I know I'm going to enjoy. Like if you, one, I think it's part of you have to know yourself a little bit. Like once you know who you are and you know the things that you know what's going to bring your mood up, you know what's going to bring your livelihood up a little bit, then you can kind of go into those things. Obviously, just I can only talk for myself right now. For me, I enjoy basketball, whether it's watching it, playing it, whatever about it. So I may do something like that. I enjoy. Call it what you may. I enjoy financial stuff, looking at all that stuff. Like I'll do it even if I didn't make money off of it. You know what I'm saying? So probably because I just enjoy the way it happens. We'll see how that goes. But yeah.
But it's sweeter when you're able to make money.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, of course. But no, I see a joy besides that, is what I'm saying in that. So like I do something like that, or even reading my Bible, something like that, talking to a friend, just doing stuff that brings up your positive mood. I mean, if you're going through it, things are hitting you, darts are coming at you. You gotta find a way to put up that shield of faith. I mean, that's really the fact.
Bro, I mean, look, I ain't gonna lie. Today was a struggle for me. It was a struggle. I mean, but despite all my problems, I was talking to my friend, and she was going through a little situation, and she just felt like she had to give up. But I was telling her, I was like, look, don't look at where you at right now. Look at what's coming, because even though you're going
Speak
through a
on it.
situation right now, next weekend you ain't gonna feel this way next week.
Nah.
You know what I mean? And they always say, weeping during the night, but joy cometh in the morning. So at the end of the day, when you
Pastor.
sit in
Come on,
there,
Pastor.
nah, man. But I'm just saying, you gotta look at. You can't study where you are right now. Find, because what I like to do is I like to analyze a problem. It's not a problem. A lot of these problems are things, are like lessons. They're lessons to teach you to grow. Because if you don't grow, you stagnate. You know what I'm saying? So you to be encouraged is very difficult. You know what I'm saying? You go outside, your car in there, no matter what, hey, listen, your neighbor got a ride, you can give you a ride. It's just the little things that you have to, like you guys are saying, to pile on to make the bigger, better thing on the outcome. But just to say it, man, look, don't look at where your feet are planted right now. Look at where you're walking to. Walk in that direction. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I'm gonna add real quick. Like I think also it's part of just recognizing, trying to stay like as even keel as you are in life. Like I think somebody said the other day, you can't get too big on your wins, you can't get too down on your losses. Like you gotta try to stay. You gotta try and stay as even keel as you want.
It's a process, bro.
I try not to be the balanced guy too much on this pod. I know I get the jokes on it already, but it's stuck. It's stuck. It's just happened. It's the way it is. But you have to stay balanced. Like you can't let it. You can't let, even when it's going well, you can't let your emotions go way too off that. Like it's the same. It's the same thing when it's going bad. You can't go too down in the valley. But
you know what though? For me, I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes when I'm going through something a little bit, at first, I lean into it a little bit. And I don't know if that sounds like I'm trying to have a pity party. Like, it's not like that, but it's like I allow myself to feel the sadness or whatever it is. Because it's like, I can't just shake it off if it's something that's affecting me. Like, I have to recognize, like, you're not just going to bounce back from something. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying I allow it to take over me, but like, if it's something happened in a day, it might take the rest of that day that I'm going to be thinking about it, and, it's going to affect me, honestly. I think what I'll probably do as time goes on, I'll look to all the things I've experienced in the past and say, that happened. That was really tough, but I got through that. I'm going to get through this too.
Exactly.
But when
Bro,
it
we
comes that first time, and I don't just try to shake it off right away. But, looking forward, I'll do stress reliever things like Levi said. Basketball is probably the best stress reliever for me. Doing something you enjoy, but at first I allow myself to feel it.
Yeah, I definitely 100%. Levi hit it on the head in regards to you have to know your plan of attack for every kind of situation you're gonna run into, right? So
Like that.
I personally, a lot, everybody's different, some people like to go ahead and tackle some cookies. I don't know who will do that, but go eat sugary foods or
chocolate chip.
but me, music for sure, or I go to the gym. Sometimes I have a rough day. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the gym real quick. And then, what I'm saying, just attack the weights, and it just helps with getting that stress up off you. You know what I'm saying? So I would always say, man, always have a plan of attack for those days that you I was listening to that song today. Can you stand the rain? Like, always have escape plan for those rainy days, man. So
And
yeah.
and my thing too is like, for me, what I'm saying, everybody got physical activities, but I'm a real artist, like at heart. Even if I don't do music, like so, like for me, music is like my ultimate therapy, man. Like, I'll find me a corner by myself, put some music on, put a towel over my head, just leave me alone for about an hour.
Towel? Oh wow.
And you know what I'm saying? I gotta feel the music. And sometimes I might even have conversations with God. Is just like, God, I don't know what to say right now. Like, and it's just like, it's kind of like empty, but it's just like, what I'm like, I can't really describe it, but it's just like, so that. And then it's a thing I heard from a pastor who said, like, well, for me, I'm about to be 34 years old by the grace of God. So I looked it up real quick. And 34 years is 12,418 days, right? So out of 12,000, so I'm 12,418 days in
How
when
many
it
of
comes
those
to
days?
bad days. Because, like, there hasn't been one bad day that has taken me out by the grace of God yet,
Yeah.
where, I'm still alive and still breathing. So I think
Yeah.
that's also important for us to kind of remember too. Like, there's nothing that well, the word says God will never leave you nor forsake you. But like, when we really start looking back and be like, man, that was a real tight situation. I didn't know how I was gonna get out of it, and now it's history. It just kind of like encourages you, you know what I'm saying, just to give you a little something extra to, like, okay, I got through things before, he ain't left me, so now I should be straight. I'm gonna need some time, but I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to kind of expand on what DTA saying. You too, but like, yo, it's accepted. You having a bad day, acknowledge it. Because what happens is, if you don't, more things will come along and pile on top of that, and it will get worse. You know what I mean? So if you have some type of outlet, use it. If you want to put a rag or a towel on your head, then go ahead. But at the end of the day, play
Say right.
sports, do whatever you want to do. But at the end of the day, acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta play the victim. I'm not saying play the victim by no means, but accept the fact that you're having a bad day. Use that bad day as something to continue and encourage you to be like, look, how am I gonna get out of this? Like y'all said, plan of attack. You know what I mean?
And real
So
quick, let me add this. I would say I think it's even more important to do that if your issues are self-inflicted, because it's not always something bad happened to you, someone else did it to you. Sometimes you make a bad decision and you have to deal with the
So
consequences.
clutch.
And
Say
so I
it, you creating problems again.
yeah, and I think you need to feel that pain so you learn, don't do that again, or I should have done that other thing. So definitely when it's your own fault, feel that pain so that you can learn not to do
Let
it
it
again.
burn.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's what she said, right?
So do y'all think like depression is more common now than it was maybe like even 10, 15 years
100%.
ago?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
What?
actually,
Yeah. It's
absolutely.
more talked about. It's more
actually,
publicized.
actually, I
It's
changed my mind. It is more prevalent. I think. I think it is.
More
it's
prevalent
more
nowadays.
prevalent. It's
Yes.
more prevalent because of the resources we have, by the technology, by comparison of
Yeah.
others.
News travel
There was
faster now.
no social
Yeah.
media back then.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Everybody was in a situation where, I don't want to say people were equal, but there wasn't what's the word, peer pressure, and that's not just peer pressure in school. That's peer pressure from adults, peer pressure from social. The minute you open your phone and you look at social media and you're looking at what somebody else has, that can trigger sort of some type of depression.
I mean, go ahead. I
Well,
guess I'll wait.
that's why I would say for me, I think, like you said, these are depression inducing factors which were not prevalent in the past. So because of that, you didn't know about what other people's lives, what was going on in their lives, because you didn't have Instagram telling you. So you weren't feeling bad about the things you had. Today, people do look at what other people have and they feel
That's
bad
true.
because they think they're
Yeah.
missing out. And I just think, generally speaking, and there's no way to prove this, right? But I just think people were built, cut from a different cloth. I think in general, and again, I'm not putting it all on people themselves. That, like I said, the rise of social media and technology have contributed to elevated depression levels. But I just think people back in the day were built to endure things and were just stronger in general. I think they had more hardships. Technology wasn't available for them when it comes to gathering food and making a living, whatever. Things are so easy now for people, and they don't realize what they have. So
yeah,
yeah, it's different.
yeah. Nah. So let me get in here real quick. When you first asked the question, honestly, I wanted to say that there was more back then. Um, Simply only the fact that I was thinking along the lines that like more people, I feel like more people nowadays might say they have depression, right? But then it's really not depression. It's just they got something sad happened to them and they experienced something for a few days or whatever, blah blah. They got over it, and then they said they went through depression. I feel like it is more misdiagnosed maybe nowadays, but as y'all were talking, I do agree about the social media point. Definitely, that social media has affected the way people perceive themselves, the way people perceive society, the way people perceive how life is supposed to go. So I do feel like that has contributed to how people are depressed. But then even before that, like the Bible talks about, like the world is just going to get worse. It's just going to men are going to wax worse day and day as the coming of the Lord comes closer. So like people are going to experience more hardships. They're all going to experience more things, and to that effect, there are going to be people who are going to be in more depression, by my calculations.
But I mean, why y'all think social media is a contribution to that? Because for me, like I enjoy going on like somebody's Instagram, like DJ Khaled stories or Rick Ross, and
Oh
seeing
man, I love
glimpses of the
DJ Khaled.
highlight. You know what I'm
God
saying?
did.
Because that
God did.
motivates me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to go
Yeah.
get me some new money. Like it
So
doesn't make
We
me
we
feel like,
we
oh man, they got it and I don't.
it
Like
depends on
I,
your. Oh my bad. I was gonna say it depends on your mindset because social social media can be whatever you make it out to be, man. Because
Mhm.
you know, just like how you saying, probably DJ Khaled is the only, I guess you can say, hip hop guy that I follow, and there's a reason why. Is because he puts out a lot of love and positivity out there. Like you should see him with his kids, his wife. Like it's beautiful. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So it's whatever you make it out to be, and I personally think depression is probably higher with kids but adults is probably the same because remember back then when it was don't ask, don't tell. You know what I'm saying? That was heavy in the military. That was the same thing with depression, right? It was like, hey, I may have touched
That's a
on this
good
last
point.
week. Hey, we don't talk about no pressure. What you talk about? You fine, right? Yeah, you good, man. What you talking about? You grown. You're a grown man. You ain't depressed. You're a grown woman. You ain't depressed. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I think it's more so with kids because kids are a little bit more immature, right? They're still trying to find
Find
out who they
themselves.
are, find themselves,
Hmm.
and then I might have seen this on a Netflix
Comparing
special.
themselves to NBA YoungBoy.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing themselves, because I remember I seen this on a documentary on Netflix. It was this girl, she posted a selfie of her, whatever. She felt good about it, whatever. And then somebody commented like, "Your nose is crooked" or
I saw
something like
that.
that. You seen it?
I was gonna mention that same thing. I saw that same special. Yeah.
And just like that, I don't know what ended up happening. You could probably elaborate on that, D. But just like that, she instantly felt insecure. She instantly didn't feel good about herself because she posted this photo on social media.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of
yeah,
that documentary, but I saw it on Netflix too. I think that was like a dramatization. It wasn't like a real person, but like these things
Yeah,
happen,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that same special talked about is I don't remember the numbers per se, but they showed a chart of like the rise of social media usage and rising commensurate rising levels of like teenage girls' depression. Like the same curve upwards is happening at the same time social media is rising. So the tool itself can be used for a lot of good things, like y'all kind of mentioned. But I think, and that's why I kind of say people are built differently now because you look at social media and you look at it positively as a motivator, but other many people will look at it and will internalize these things that are negative about themselves and it'll make them depressed. So, but I mean that has to do with what they're made of to a degree.
yeah.
And even without that, it's going to be hard seeing all these shiny things and you don't have it. Like I'm not just trying to make it seem like it's only the person's fault internally that they feel that way. Just seeing it is going to have an effect on you.
No, yeah. With social media, I'm getting here real quick. Part of the problem here is that most people, they associate the social media with some type of real life stuff. So you know what I'm saying. And the thing about social media is people aren't going to post their negative life on there. People, it's a facade. It's mostly like what people want. It's what they want
It's
you
a
to see.
highlight reel.
Exactly. It's the same thing like we were saying with DJ Khaled. He's posting all this great stuff on his jet ski, putting positive words, him with his family, him with his wife. He's not gonna post you the moments when his wife is crying and she needs help and blah blah blah, or when something else is happening in his life, or when he lost a bunch of money, something, or somebody broke into his house or something. He's not gonna post that. Like same thing in regular life. So when these things really happen to you, you're like, wait a minute, this isn't how life is supposed to go. It's not. This is not social media. Everything's supposed to be perfect and nice and pretty and blah blah blah. Like that's not life. Like life is really going to give you things sometimes, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be nice. And when you compare your life to social media too much, you think life is. You think that's what life is. And to
Yeah, man.
DJ's point, it is like a younger generation thing. Like it is very impressionable on the younger generation. Like so.
I just
It's
want
some,
to listen. I just want to say to all those girls out there that's liking this one particular picture or following this girl, she did not wake up like that. All right.
Hmm,
It's either a filter or that's her 10th picture she took, trying to
hmm.
say, "Oh, this was my first picture."
Trying to catch the
Or the
angle.
or the
They
angle.
try to catch the angle, the light, you know what I mean? Just whatever it may be, as you guys say. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you go on social media, you don't want to be reminded of your own life at that time. Most people don't want to be reminded of what's going on. They're going on social media,
To
especially
escape.
Instagram, to get exactly. It's like a drug. You're addicted to it. So you're looking for some type of something to help you not think of what's going on in your life. So therefore, everything that's going to be posted has to be nothing but glamorous stuff, shiny stuff, girl with nice makeup, nice clothes, whatever it may be. It's an act.
yeah, yeah. Because I even going with that, like I think of it more so like the NBA draft, right? Because when draft night comes up, everybody got their highlight pieces that come on, and it's like everybody look like they about to come to the league and go crazy.
Right.
But then it's like when the season kick off, it's like most of these guys disappear. It might be a couple of them. It might be number 25 of the draft who actually ends up shining. So you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like social media, man. It's like an overall highlight reel and not the full picture. But I wanted to ask y'all too, because we kind of time is escaping us. Is there a difference between heartbreak and depression?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
One's a lesson, one's a lesson. You put it like that. One's a lesson, the other's not.
I mean, depending on how fine she is, so somebody think it's the same exact thing.
That's what I was about to say, because I done had some heartbreaks that made me feel like that was it, love.
Man.
Put on some Black Street.
Oh, you got all the R&B.
Hey, all of them.
That Carl Thomas. I wish I never met her.
Oh man,
Wow.
come on.
Listen, man. If it was meant to be, then they would still be there. I put it like that.
I don't know. To answer the question, man, I mean, I think you can be depressed about something else, but if you have a heartbreak, man, you're gonna be depressed. It's the same thing. You're gonna be depressed if you have a heartbreak.
It's cause and effect.
I mean, honestly, heartbreak, from what I heard, they said it's similar to like somebody literally like passing away. It kind of has that same kind of emotion feeling
in your brain. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's similar, but I don't know. I don't think anything beats like a real depression that you have, because you're eventually gonna get over that heartbreak. Well, most people will eventually get over, right? I guess, right? But depression, it's like we talked about last week. It's more kind of like clinically based, which you can get over anything though. That's the thing about it. You can literally get over anything if you're willing to, right? And willing to give time, right? Time is the healer of all things.
True.
Yeah, man.
Hey man, I wanted to ask y'all one question, man. I don't know how much time we got, and this is a big question. I don't know if we can just touch it a little bit. We might have to come back to it, but do y'all think Kanye West might have high functioning depression?
I think it's possible.
I mean, a lot of people probably do, honestly, bro.
Are we talking about Kanye?
Okay.
I'm not sure I would categorize it as depression. He definitely has some kind of mental something going on. That's pretty clear, I think, for anybody to see. Something's going on, obviously, mentally. That's different with Kanye. But I'm not sure if depression is the word, because, well, we lost Kim Kardashian. I don't know.
I think he's just trying to find his way again, man.
Yeah.
I feel like he lost his way, and he's just trying to find it somehow.
Yeah.
He ain't been the same since 808s and Heartbreak when his mother passed. Honestly, for me, I just noticed it's a very different Kanye after that. So
Yeah,
is he
His
depressed?
mom.
Yeah.
I think it's
I mean,
mother.
I kind of understand what Levi's saying though. I mean, I don't know if he's depressed. He just got stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, because even like if we watch, I don't know if y'all seen the documentary, but like it kind of illustrates, like, from that time point, like it don't seem like he gave himself time to deal with it properly. Like he just kept working. And it's like, if you see him today, like, they had a picture where he was just on the side of the road in all black with a face mask on. It's just, it's just not, you know what I'm saying? Like, and people look at it and be like, oh, he's just a genius. He's a billionaire. We love the Yeezys. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's just, if you look at it deeper, man. like it don't,
I mean, once you get it and you enjoy it for a few weeks, none of that means anything after that.
Hey, so, well, this has been another powerful hour, man, of the Hold Your Point podcast. I think we might have a little bit more that we need to delve on with this. So, we might have to continue just a little bit, because I still got some bangers I ain't get to ask the fellas. But, we appreciate everybody tuning in for us, man. We are the Hold Your Point podcast crew. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. And until next time, man, we out of here. Tell a friend and tell a friend.